Welcome to Burning Bright, a weekly podcast presenting poetry and prose from Passenger. Over the years, there have been a lot of attorneys turned writers. Crime novelists like Scott Turow and John Grisham and Richard North Patterson, and people like David E. Kelley, who created and wrote for lawyer shows like Ally McBeal and L.A. Law and Boston Legal. Elizabeth Strout, who wrote Olive Kittredge, was a lawyer, as was Will Shortz of New York Times crossword puzzle fame. Poets Archibald MacLeish and Wallace Stevens were lawyers. So were 19th century American poets William Cullen Bryant and Spoon River Anthology author and poet William Lee Masters. On this episode of Burning Bright, some pieces by Passenger writers who are or were attorneys. Lawyer John Glowney said it was a short leap from watching his son and his friends building homemade ramps for their skateboarding attempts to, quote, musing on the ambitions and dreams of boys, father's eternal misguided heavy-handedness, and the archetypical Daedalus in his son. Here's John's poem, Sons. Long-haired 13-year-olds coast dusk on skateboards. 3 summers ago, they wanted to be astronauts or firemen climbing tall ladders into windows of fire. Wheels rattle against pavement, thunk against a ramp made of castaway 2x4s, propped up on old produce boxes. The boys launch a few brash feet off the ground, twirl, land crouched or stagger sideways, or crash. Did Icarus, shouldering the gorgeous ensemble his father fashioned, the tight straps pinching his rib cage, complain? Did he share Daedalus's dream of flight over the sea's unfolding horizons and inexhaustible trenches? Or did he, within the chambered maze that stabled his own bull-headed heart, aim for the sun on what he had made, from what he could find, in his father's attic and garage? Plywood, pigeon feathers, glue. John Glowney's poem, Sons, from Passenger, issue 59. Freddie Lee Wilson lied his way into the Army at age 15 to escape life in segregated Tallahassee. 4 years later, he left the military and set off on a 60-year odyssey that took him into a world of prize fighting, bank robbery, prison, alcohol, and redemption. When a social worker suggested Freddie write about his life to help him make sense of it, he said he didn't like writing, so she placed an online ad for someone to help him. U.S. Department of Labor lawyer Craig Hukill responded and said he spent hundreds of hours over the next several years interviewing Freddie and listening to his stories. Out of that came a draft of a memoir titled Nobody Knows. Here's an excerpt. I'd been disappointed after learning that special services in England didn't have a boxing team like the one I'd been on when I was stationed in Japan. I'd been undefeated in the Far East and was anxious to polish my skills and prepare for a life as a prizefighter. My eyes lit up when I walked into the PX in September and saw a picture of 2 fighters, Joe Louis and Ezzard Charles, on the cover of Ring magazine. I dug a coin out of my pocket, slapped it onto the counter, and retreated to the barracks to reconnect with my heroes. I devoured the magazine, reading it cover to cover, and then, already impatient for the next issue, I'd read it again. And I didn't stop there. I started buying another monthly magazine, Ebony, and a new weekly, Jet, so I could keep tabs on my favorite boxers when they were out and about. It was a great time to follow boxing, too. The stars were back in action after the war, and the sport was more popular than ever. The greatest of them all was Walker Smith, Jr., who, as a kid, had borrowed the amateur athletic union card of another boxer, Ray Robinson, so he could fight his first fight. The name stuck, and when an admirer joked that his boxing style was sweet as Sugar Ray Robinson's identity was forever set. From Passenger, issue 72, an excerpt from Rivals for My Affections, from the life of Freddie Lee Wilson, as told to and written by Craig Hukill. Margaret Flaherty wrote poetry in high school but stopped, quote, for a busy 50 years or so, at least part of that time practicing law. She started writing poetry again in 2016, She said her poem Nanny's Hat was inspired by an image she saw while she was getting a Tibetan Bells vibration massage. Struck Tibetan bells on my skin make waves, widening swells, centers dark welled. Down, down I slipped the black slicked sides to the time before anyone died. This cannot be. The past is nada, zero. No space for falling, no place to land. All I can say, I was there. I saw what I saw. The hat boutique, and Nanny angling her face in the mirror, blue-netted hat, brimming silk flowers pinned to her iron-gray curls. She looks like she's tasting something sweet, but knows how to keep it a secret. It's possible she loves me. For sure she loves a white straw hat with navy grosgrain trim. A pillbox, I think they called it. The hat that Jackie made famous. On dark hair like mine, or Nanny's once was, it's glamour. In this great country, she says, even the poor can dress rich. Proud to be such patriots, we buy the hats. This is where the bells took me. It wasn't a memory. It was an actual place. And I was happy to be there again. And I think, though she didn't smile or say much, Nanny was glad to see me. Margaret Flaherty's poem Nanny's Hat, from Passager's 2022 Poetry Contest issue. To subscribe to or learn more about Passager and its commitment to writers over 50, go to PassagerBooks.com. Passager offers a 25% discount on the books and journal issues featured here on Burning Bright. Visit our website to see what's on sale this week. For Kendra, Mary, Christine, Roseanne, and the rest of the Passager staff, I'm John Shore.